Hi, Mr. P here and welcome to the channel. So this is the second in two videos looking at how to approach an unseen poem. In the first video we looked at structure, and this is where we'd got to. It's really important when you first get that unseen poem, before you actually dig deep into the meaning, the language, the imagery, that sort of stuff, that you just look at it cold. What does it look like on the page? How is it structured? What patterns can you see? And this is where we got to. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to dig deep into the poem, look at the content, look at the language, look at the imagery, and get all of that good stuff that you can use to write a fantastic response to an unseen poem. Okay, well, we've already started to return to the title. That's very important. Do we see any words, any connotations, any techniques there? And indeed here we see some sibilants. You're then going to want to work through stanza by stanza and just pick out any keywords in these. Looking at verbs, looking at feelings, looking at emotions is a pretty good place to start. So in here we've picked out boy. This idea of innocence is important, and youth. We're also seeing examples of sibilants as well. And now we're looking at specific words that kind of stand out to us and any techniques that we can see. Again, you've got this idea of innocence there. You've got more sibilants going on. And words like joy, grinned, and whistle, these all suggest, happiness, maybe youthful innocence as well. They're all important. And then it's worth just revisiting and just recapping the stanza. What sense do we get of where we are in this first stanza? And obviously this is the soldier, the young boy, before he signed up to fight in the war. So we move on to the second stanza. And again, we're looking at verbs, we're looking at feelings, we're looking at emotions. Crucially, we see words like cowed and glum, which are very much in contrast to the happy and positive words that we had in the first stanza. This is how he is now during the war. Usually in a poem there's going to be a line or a phrase where it has a big impact, or there's some kind of change, and I think it's that line, he put a bullet through his brain, and arguably also the one after, no one spoke of him again. And we go back to where we were with structure. That line is shorter for a reason. The shock of a young person taking their own life is a very powerful point in the poem, and I think that short line and the fact that he took his life ended early, is why that line is short. It helps really emphasize that. We've also got alliteration being used there, light and lack, which is quite negative, isn't it? And also suggests almost a sense of disgust. In the third stanza, you've got a shift in perspective. These are the people at home, people not involved in the war, propagandists, media and so on, who perhaps glorify war. You've got the image there, or the metaphor, kindling eye, which suggests getting young people excited to go and fight in the war, perhaps through lies and rhetoric. The repetition of the idea of this being a young person and the loss of life and a sadness through lad. And you've also got this kind of lexical feel, words associated with, religion and, prayer and hell. And maybe the suggestion is that war is a kind of hell that really we can't conceive and really understand unless we've actually been there and seen just how horrific it really is. Okay, so some tips then to try and think about how the language, the imagery, the diction, the words chosen, metaphors and so on are perhaps reinforced by the structure of the poem itself. So trying to put these parts together. The next step, of course, would be to then try and order this rather messy annotations into some kind of a paragraph plan that's answering the specific question that is being asked for your particular unseen. If there are bullet points, use those. If not, then make sure you cover language, imagery, structure, content, form, etc.